Okay, so let's talk about something that's happening right now, probably in your own kitchen. It's this invisible battle. A war being fought on your countertops, inside your fridge, even on your cutting boards. And, when you lose this battle, the price you pay is, well, it's pretty miserable.
I mean, who hasn't been there, right? That awful, sinking feeling when you realize something you ate was a huge mistake. We've all had that unforgettable experience. But what is actually going on inside your body? What's causing all that misery?
And look, this isn't just a personal problem or some random unlucky event. It's a massive public health issue. Just take a look at this graph. It shows what happened in England and Wales. Cases of foodborne illness just shot up dramatically. This isn't a small thing. It shows why it's so important to understand what's really going on.
All right, Section 1, the invisible enemy. To win this fight, you've got to know who you're up against. And believe me, this enemy is completely invisible to the naked eye. So, the official name for this whole thing is foodborne illness. It's really just a catch-all term for getting sick from eating food that's, well, contaminated. It could be from bacteria, viruses, or even chemicals. So, what exactly is doing the contamination? Well, the causes really fall into three main groups. You've got your chemical culprits, like if cleaning spray gets on your food. Then there are non-bacterial ones, like viruses. But the main character of our story, the one we're really going to focus on, is bacteria, specifically the pathogenic kind. These are the bad guys behind most cases of what we call food poisoning. Okay, Section 2, how bacteria attack. And make no mistake, these guys have a strategy. It's simple, yeah, but it is incredibly effective. Let's break down their game plan.
You see, they have one goal, just one mission, and that is to multiply. A single bacterium? It's harmless. Their entire strategy is about building an army, and fast.
And wow, are they good at it. The process is called binary fission, which is just a sciencey way of saying they literally split in two. But here's the crazy part. Some can do this every 10 to 20 minutes. Think about that. At that speed, one single bacterium can become millions in just a couple of hours. That's an army built from nothing in the time it takes to watch a movie.
But here's the good news. This is their weakness. They can't just multiply anywhere. They need the perfect conditions. Think of it like a recipe for disaster. They need food, they need moisture, they need warmth, and they need time. It's their life support system. And here's the key. If you take away just one of these things, you stop the invasion in its tracks.
And this brings us to the single biggest factor we can control. Warmth, or, temperature. Down here, below 5 degrees Celsius, bacteria are basically asleep. They're dormant. Way up here, above 63 Celsius, the heat kills them off. But that huge gap right in the middle, that is the temperature danger zone. It's not just warm, it's the perfect temperature for them to throw a massive party and multiply like you wouldn't believe.
Section 3. Okay, so we know the enemy, we know their strategy. Now let's talk about the main battleground, the place where this fight really happens, your kitchen.
Bacteria are kind of picky. They have a favorite menu. They absolutely love foods that are moist and packed with protein. We call these high-risk foods. And yeah, we're talking about things like cooked meat and poultry, shellfish, dairy products, even things you might not suspect, like cooked rice or meat spreads. For bacteria, these foods are the perfect home. So, how do these germs travel? How do they get from, say, a raw chicken breast to the salad you're about to eat? Well, there are two main ways. First, there's indirect contamination. Picture this. Raw meat on a top shelf in the fridge, and its juice drips down onto a ready-to-eat cheesecake below. Ugh. The other, and this is a big one, is cross-contamination. This is when you move the bacteria. You use a cutting board for raw chicken, then without washing it, you chop a tomato for your sandwich. You've just become the getaway driver for an army of germs.
All right, Section 4, your food safety arsenal. So far, it might sound like the bacteria are winning, but that's not the case. We have our own arsenal, and it's actually pretty simple. It all comes down to 3 powerful weapons you can use to win this battle. Weapon number 1, temperature control. It is that simple. We talked about the danger zone, right? The rule is just stay out of it. Keep hot food hot and keep cold food cold. There is no safe middle ground. None. And here are the key numbers you absolutely have to remember. Your fridge, it needs to be at or below 5 degrees Celsius. Cold food has to stay cold. Hot food that you're keeping warm to serve later, it has to stay above 63 degrees. And when you're actually cooking something, the inside, the very core of the food, needs to hit at least 70 degrees Celsius. You hit these numbers, you win the temperature game. Period.
Okay, weapon number 2, separation. As the saying goes, preventing that contamination is everything. You have to keep raw and high-risk foods apart. Seriously. My rule? Treat raw meat like it's radioactive. It gets its own shelf in the fridge, the bottom one, so it can't drip. It gets its own cutting board, its own utensils. It should never touch anything that's ready to eat.
And that brings us to our third and final weapon, cleanliness. Now, cleaning can feel a bit vague, but there's a proper system. It's a 6-stage process. First, get rid of the big stuff, the pre-clean. Then the main wash with hot soapy water. Rinse it all off. Then you disinfect. After that, a final rinse. And here's the step everyone forgets but is so important. Let it dry completely. Remember, bacteria need moisture to live. A totally dry surface is their enemy. All right, final section, winning the food fight. So, let's do a quick recap. We've identified the enemy, we get their tactics, and now we have a 3-part defense plan. It's all about how a few simple habits put you in complete control. So here it is. This is your victory plan. It's the big 3. If you can just burn these 3 words into your brain, temperature, separation, and cleanliness, you can stop almost all cases of food poisoning before they even start. It's that simple. Control the temperature, keep things separate, and keep things clean. So now you have the intel. But knowing is only half the battle, right? The real question is, what are you going to do with it? What's the one rule, the one thing you'll double-check in your kitchen tonight? Are you going to go check your fridge temp right now? Or maybe you'll finally grab a different colored cutting board just for raw meat. Because ultimately, the battle against foodborne illness is won with awareness. That's the real end goal. When you look at a kitchen now, you see it differently. You're not just seeing a bit of a mess, you're spotting the actual hazards. You see the potential dangers. You've basically developed a new superpower for your own kitchen.